Well, Call of Duty fans, and welcome back. We've got the day 2 recap coming up for you guys, nice and quick for you. I'm Shift, you're you. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time, welcome back for all of you that are returning. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. I'm going to remind you guys of what the pools ended up like in case you missed some of the action from the first day and wanted to see what we were going into. Pool A would see the likes of Genji up top at a 3-0 for them, a 9-3 overall in maps. Very good start for them. Denial the surprise here in Pool A, having gone 2-1. They will be in the second spot, guaranteed the winner's bracket. UIU and Heretics would bring up the 3 and the 4, and the big surprise was the fact that Heretics finished 0-3. Would not bode well for my power rankings predictions. We'll see if they get a better losers bracket run today. In Pool B, Red Reserve, Enigma 6, they'll be the top 2 teams there after the 3-way tie again was decided by the map differential of those teams that were in the 3-way tie. 100 Thieves was just a touch short in that department, and Evil Geniuses, a very tough start, only having won 2 maps in their pool play, and that was actually against Enigma 6. Did finish, like I mentioned, in that second spot. Pool C, this one went a little bit more as expected, but it wasn't without some drama against Splice and Luminosity in their first games, which was Verse, Accelerate, and Midnight. It would send them both to game 5s and nearly losing to the new upcoming rosters from both of those teams, but they would win and they would finish kind of as we mostly expected. Splice would finish up 3-0, Luminosity at the 2-1 spot. Accelerate would find the win versus Midnight, as most teams would. They would also be similar to Evil Geniuses, sitting at 0-3 with only 2 map wins. And then Pool D, the Pool of Death, and it was exactly that. This was a pool that actually got flipped completely on its head. The seeding going in was E United first, Optic second, Envy third, Reciprocity fourth, and it would actually end up with Reciprocity on top, Envy in the second spot after they both went 2-1. Optic and E United only going 1-2. E United not looking very good during that 1-2 as well. So that would mean that our winner's bracket, starting things off, would look like this. Again, the top 2 teams from each of those pools, Genji and Luminosity, and then we have Reciprocity, Enigma 6, Splice, and Denial, and Red Reserve and Envy. And there were a lot of considerations for some of these games as you were looking at them. I had gone through and made a couple of predictions as far as how those went, and I'll kind of relate to what those predictions were versus those actual results. Starting with Genji and Luminosity, we predicted this one going 3-2 in favor of Genji. Luminosity has been a very good control team, but Genji had a little bit of a slow start to their search and destroy this tournament, but you have to wonder how long that would last. The answer would be it would last dramatically, as Genji would lose both search and destroys at a very convincing fashion to Luminosity. This game would go all the way to 5. And it would actually end up being a 2-6 and a 1-6 on those search and destroys. Genji winning out both the hard points, which again, for Luminosity, that's been their weakest point so far. It would continue to be so here, but the switch from Spacely to Envoy has improved Genji in the respawn, but hurt them in the search and destroy pretty considerably, apparently. Luminosity, as you see it, will win that one out, and they'll be the ones to move on as you see them. Switching on down to Enigma 6 versus Reciprocity. Enigma 6 had been looking pretty strong with the addition of Chino. They've been playing well pretty much all the way across the board. Their search and destroy has still been a little bit all over the place, but their control has gotten significantly better this tournament so far. Reciprocity, meanwhile, has been doing relatively well in the search and destroy department, and the addition of Dylan has gone well for them, but as you see it here, it wouldn't be enough against Enigma 6, who were just too strong for Reciprocity on this day. 250 to 226 was the hard point. That was the only one that was closed. It was followed up by a 6-2 search and a 3-1 control. Enigma 6 moving on to face Luminosity in the winners semis. Down in the lower part of the winners bracket, Splice and Denial, and I had predicted this one. Oh, I forgot to mention, I had that Enigma 6 Reciprocity going 3-2 for Enigma 6. It would end up 3-0. Going into Splice and Denial, though, this was another very interesting one. I had predicted that this one would go 3-2 to Splice, simply because Splice has been the stronger team when it comes to how they've played control so far, as well as just generally speaking, this Splice team has been very, I would say, one trick. They've been playing a lot of maps that they are very favorable on, including Arsenal on the hardpoint and Search and Destroy, which on Frequency, which is a map that they had not played before the CWL. And this set versus Denial, they would be able to win the hard point again on Arsenal pretty convincingly, and then they would do very well on the search and destroys as well. But they would come up into some hiccups against Denial, as it would actually go back and forth. The deciding map being, again, the control. It was a 3-0 in favor of Splice. They would finish things off on a search and destroy map 5, where they would win 6-4. A very good set, though. This Denial team putting everybody on notice. It was at one point, I think, 4-2 or 4-1. And a lot of rounds strung together for Splice. A very good game. Definitely one worth going back and rewatching. And then finishing things off at the very bottom, Red Reserve taken on against Envy. And this was one that I had marked as an upset potential. I predicted this one going 3-2 in favor of Red Reserve, based on the fact that Envy has not looked very good when it comes to potential game 5s. But the maps that I kind of predicted to happen, I kind of had going back and forth, with the exception of that control, which Red Reserve has been very good at so far in Fort Worth. This set versus Envy would not be so back and forth, although the set was very good. It was a 3-0 as you see it, 250-202, a 6-5 search, and a 3-2 control. A very close set, but Red Reserve would win the day here. So moving on forward, Luminosity and Enigma 6 were the games here, and I don't have predictions for these, so we'll kind of run through these for you. Luminosity, they are looking like a whole nother animal all of a sudden in the bracket, which, again, they've done in the past, but they're doing it here. One would kind of wonder how far this run for Enigma 6 was going to go anyways in the winner's bracket, going up against a good Reciprocity team, and then, of course, Luminosity, who's surging. This one would be just about as one-sided as ever. Luminosity looking dominating over Enigma 6, a 240-149, a 6-1 search, and then a 3-1 control for what would be a 3-0 victory to move Luminosity into a top 3 position in this tournament. That's absolutely wild. In the bottom side, Splice and Red Reserve, you see it there. Splice is just absolutely looking on par. Yes, a little bit of scares versus Denial, but against Red Reserve, it really wasn't too much of a question. 250-218 the hard point, 6-2 the search, and then a 3-1 control. This team has been very good so far. In fact, Splice has only lost a single hard point. That's insane. They're looking really good on the respawn. Their search has been also pretty good. They're 4-3 there technically, but the losses have been relatively close. And then they're actually 4-1 in the control as well. This is looking like a very much so a championship caliber team all of a sudden, which is weird considering their second week in Division B was not so convincing whatsoever. We'll switch on down and go to the losers bracket, and we have a couple of predictions from these as well, at least for the first round of the losers bracket. Accelerate Heretics, 100 Thieves United, UIU versus Midnight, and then Optic taking on against Evil Geniuses. We'll start up top with Accelerate taking on the Heretics, and again, Heretics, not the greatest of starts to their pool play, as obviously they did not win a game. But this matchup, I had them favored at a 3-1 total. It would be a better day for the Heretics. They would win this one out 3-2, but it wasn't without a little bit of consequence and some concern as well, as Accelerate was giving it to them for a while. And the biggest question for this team after the first day was, what is going on in their search and destroy? They are all over the place with 2 2-6 losses, mixed in as a 3-6 and a 4-6 loss. They didn't win a single search and destroy in pool play. That would not be the case here. The search and destroy would save them. 2 6-3 score lines there. They would lose control though, 0-3. Not looking good on control, which was kind of surprising after they had played relatively well throughout not only the Division B but also their pool play in the control. But they will move on to meet Envy in their next matchup. 100 Thieves and United. Oh boy. And when we looked at this one, again, it feels weird to see these monsters kind of going up against each other in the first round of the losers bracket. We had predicted this one that it would be 100 Thieves 3, United 1. That would be exactly how it would turn up. 100 Thieves were looking like they were just putting people on notice throughout the entirety of the day, but this matchup in specific, 100 Thieves were just in a different class from United. Although United would be able to come back out and be able to take the control convincingly, which is a surprise because 100 Thieves has been very solid in control. It was on one of their worst maps, to be fair. Gridlock has not been a very good map for 100 Thieves. They would lose that 0-3. It was a 6-5 win in the search, and then a 250-168 and a 250-194. 100 Thieves looking really calm and collected. The biggest thing is United took 100 Thieves to Arsenal twice. They have played Arsenal on hardpoint in every single one of their games so far at Fort Worth, and they've won every one but a single game. That was against Enigma 6, where they lost 166 to 250, but everything else has been plus 60 points at least. Almost 100 pointing clubbing everybody they play on Arsenal. You need to ban Arsenal away from 100 Thieves. That's just the way it goes. They're too good at it, including on Search and Destroy, and on Control. They're just too good at Arsenal. Do not play 100 Thieves on Arsenal. I don't know how many more times I can say that. But they'll win this one 3-1. They'll meet up against Denial in their second round of the losers bracket. UIU and Midnight. This one was pretty convincing for UIU. This team looks really good. I honestly feel like this team is right where we rated them, right around the top 8 spot. They're very calm, very collected, and this new addition, bringing Parzeli into the mix, is making them very, very strong. It was a pretty easy game all the way throughout, with the exception of the hard point, which was just a 20-point game, but Midnight not quite able to do the work. And then the bottom, Optic Gaming. We had said that one, by the way, just to kind of give you the heads up on what we kind of predicted. We said that that one was going to be a 3-1 favoring UIU. That was a 3-0. And then finishing off Optics versus Evil Geniuses, we had predicted this one 3-0, and that would indeed be the case, but this was a good one. I'm going to go back and recast this game because it took a very considerable comeback effort from Optic. They were down like 83 to 200 something, 203 or something like that on the hard point, and they would come back and win that 250 to 243. They were down in the Search and Destroy by a handful of rounds, would come back and win that one, and then they would smoke the Gridlock Control 3-0. Evil Geniuses had the chance a number of times to put games away, weren't quite able to do it. I would be interested to see them play Midnight because I think that would be a very ugly game, but I don't know who's the worst team in the CWL right now because the lack of composure from Evil Geniuses is mind-boggling, and the team chemistry is just not quite there yet for Midnight. So a little bit of a spoiler in my power rankings. These will be somewhere in the bottom 2 teams for the CWL without a doubt. So Optic would go on to then meet Gen G. We'll take a look at NV versus Heretics. Heretics came out to play, and I didn't have predictions for this one because it was a little bit of a later setup, but Heretics absolutely came out to play today against Envy. They would take it to them on both hard points as well as the Search and Destroy, 6-5 there in the Search. But again, the Control, an 0-3 loss. So the woes that Heretics were facing in Search and Destroy have transgressed from Search and Destroy to Control. Not a good day for them there. Denial and 100 Thieves. That one, pretty easy and considerable for 100 Thieves. They would smoke Denial all the way across the entirety of it. 250-191, 6-3, 3-0 across the gate. And that would be a 3-0 win for 100 Thieves. And then Reciprocity and UIU and Gen G and Optic, they would go the extremities of the distance. They would go the full distance pretty much throughout all of it. Both of those sets were incredibly close. I think they were both on main streams as well. The Reciprocity UIU game, you see it there. It was a 3-2 win for Reciprocity, but it didn't come without some drama. It was a very close set of hard points and a Control, and then the Search and Destroys. This was my biggest thing. When I picked Reciprocity as my dark horse at the beginning, it was based on the fact that their Search and Destroy was good. All they had to do was try to find a way to get a little bit better at the respawn, and that's been the case. They smoked the Search and Destroy 6-0, 6-3. And then Gen G, going up against Optic, this was a barn burner. If you missed this one, go back and rewatch it. It was a very entertaining set. It wasn't exactly the closest scorelines, but they were very, very good games. They would split the hard points, split the Search and Destroys, but the decider, of course, would come down to who won the Control. That was a 3-2 win on Seaside in favor of Gen G, and Gen G's woes in Search and Destroy would be figured out finally, but it wasn't, again, without a lot of concern, as they had not done well on any of the Search and Destroys up until this game. Gen G had lost 4 Search and Destroys straight. That's, again, them coming off of what was previously a 9-0 or something like that before Fort Worth started. I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was 9-0, and they would come and only fall to right now a 13-6, which is quite a bit different than when they started. Again, Spacely not being a part of it might be a problem. Who knows? Maybe everyone else is just getting better and have figured out what's so good with Gen G. But Gen G would win this one. They'll move on. So as you see it, Heretics and 100 Thieves will play up against each other, and then Reciprocity and Gen G. Starting up top, Heretics and 100 Thieves. Again, this 100 Thieves team is nasty. They're absolutely disgusting. They would absolutely trounce on the Heretics. 250-121, 6-4 the Search, 3-0 the Control. They would go, so far their Fort Worth has been, the last 4 games they've won in a row, 3-2, 3-1, 3-0, 3-0. Looking very decided as they will be going up against Enigma 6 in the losers bracket semifinals. Reciprocity and Gen G. This one would go the distance again. Reciprocity has loved going Game 5 so far, as just about every single game has gone Game 5 for them, with the exception of their 3-0 loss to Enigma 6 from the winners bracket. This one would be a very good one as well. It would go the full distance. We would see round 11. That would turn up in favor of Reciprocity, though, so they will move on to meet their EU counterparts in Red Reserve. So that's what everything is situated for you guys going into tomorrow. Sorry, I'm kind of a little bit drained. My energy is at an all-time low right now. We were doing casting things, we're doing video things, but I want to just give you guys big ups for coming out and checking things out. I also want to just briefly shout out what's been going on in the open stream. I almost forgot. The open stream has seen a lot of notable names come through. I just want to hit you guys up with what happened in the winners bracket. We saw Cyclone taking on FC Black and Aspire taking on Mindfreak. Aspire being the team that has Robbie B on it. It would be FC Black beating Cyclone at a score of 3-2. That Cyclone team consists of Pandora, Spoof, Super, and Zapidus. All of those have pool play at least experience underneath their belt, with the addition of Glow Frosty, who's also on that team, who's been a very notable open division player for quite some time, trying to make his way noticed, and he would not quite be able to get it done versus FC Black, which consists of a Sim from FC Black previously, as well as Gravity and Phantoms, with the addition of Celium and Simps. That's a very nasty team, all the way to 5 games. And then Mindfreak would be able to take care of Aspire 3-0 in that winners bracket, send him to the losers bracket. More importantly, Team Sween was in the mix here, and they would not quite be able to get things done against Nation of Power, the new Nation of Power team. That was a 3-0 loss there. And the losers bracket finals would be Nation of Power beating Aspire 3-2, and Cyclone beating In Control, which has players like Apox, Cells, Hollow, Vivid. They've played together for quite some time. I'm not sure if they've been playing under the In Control banner for the entirety of it, but they've been playing together for a while this game. And that has also the addition of Stamino. That was a 3-1 win for Cyclone. We would see Cyclone then go to the championship bracket. It was Cyclone versus Nation of Power, a 3-0 there for them. FC Black in the winners bracket would take down Mindfreak 3-0, and then it would be a very close 5-game set between Mindfreak and Cyclone. It was a 3-2 win for the Aussies of Mindfreak. So we will see FC Black taking on Mindfreak to start off the day tomorrow for the grand finals of the open bracket. Again, $15,000 on the line in total prizing for the first place team, $12,500 for the second place team. So still coming away with quite a considerable amount of money, but of course you want to be able to show up and be that team that boasts the best open division team. So that's going to conclude it for sure. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the full final recap. I hope you guys enjoy the games. Of course, if you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe. You can also check me on Twitter. Sorry I've been so exhausted with this one. I'll try to get some more energy mustered up for our full recap for the final day. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you for the next one. Until then, hope you keep holding it down. Later, bye-bye.